this is all very well meaning by Labour like to see themselves as chapter of diversity. However, I think short answer to the question, I think this is necessarily a support community petition, allowed any value beyond the existing legal framework. So I'm agreed with the previous speakers. However, I think it might exacerbate identity politics, and that can lead to more division, sadly. So improving race relations, I believe, quite more of a holistic approach. You can look at education disparities, social segregation, integration, and look at the role of the family. And the philology, also differences between cultures. And we get the Kemi Banoa got herself in a bit of hot water about by recently when she said Muslim culture are equal. I've been the victim of this. I mean, I know what it's like, as many of you probably do. I remember getting on a bus in London many years ago and ordering my fare, and a charming gentleman standing behind me said, Raghead's got more of a Cockney accent than I have. And around the same kind of time, when I was at university, I was assaulted by extremists and now prescribed Hizb-ut-Tahrir. There's one particular zealot used to shoulder barge every time he saw me on canvas. He only stopped when he received a splendid counterbarge from Monacolia. However, I mean, I think when my father grew up that time, that racism was like it's South riots, 1979, time of the National Front. But if we look at things now, they differ. The BNP aren't believing council or elections seats or European Parliament seats, and I've never dreamed that a fellow Punjabi would be the Prime Minister of this country. But we find ourselves in this great position now where people asking the question, milk racist, or see countryside a racist and colonialist white space. Now, the Sunday disorder has opened a lot of people's eyes and shows the fragility of society. This new piece of legislation does not frankly deal with complex reasons that trigger views of marginalisation among some sections of society, and they feel left behind. I mean, Sama, who gave the, I'd say, miscalculated need to BLM, was very quick to dismiss all the Southport protesters as far right. Yes, there were some far right people, but not all were. And there still appears to be very little at this time of the government to look at reasons why we had that flare-up of violence across the country. And the proposed legislation on ethnicity disability payouts doesn't really kind of tell us what we need to do. I agree for disability, that's much more clear-cut and important. However, I think with ethnicity, there's variation across different ethnic groups, and that we should automatically assume it's really down to discrimination. One thing almost said, when I say this to two lawyers on the panel, that the e-legislation would like to bolster the well-upholstered trouser pockets of lawyers, given what we've really seen in the case with ASA, as one politician puts it, the legislation will be a bonanza for dodging activist lawyers. Lord Sewell's report for the Commission on Racial and Ethnic Disparities points to a statistical challenge when it comes to looking at ethnicity pay gaps. I mean, we're all kind of aware of that. And I think one of the other speakers touched on this. The Labour Forces Survey demonstrated for Indian and Chinese men and British Black African men, as well as white men. Other groups noticeably less, so Pakistani and Bangladeshi men, particularly those born outside of the UK, earn less. But until we kind of get to the root cause of this disparity and look beyond discrimination, we're not going to move any further forwards. But for me, the starting point to all this is what qualified as an ethnicity. What is an ethnic minority? According to the census, there's 19 different ethnic groups. In London, there's over 100. I'll put a yellow card. I'll be very quick. And we've got these terms like baying that are floating around. I totally agree that calling that's the catching term, which is actually quite insulting. And it never often covers white gypsies or travellers or Jews. You often don't think of them, and you think of the word babe or B&E. One of the other things I see coming on the horizon, which I'm quite simple, to be honest, is that some religions perceive themselves to be ethnicities or racial groups, and that's going to have serious consequences for this legislation. Take my community. There was a campaign by a pro-Khalistan group who suggested that Sikhs are an ethnic group. They should be recorded as such in the census. Now, unfortunately, the NS didn't do that, but still, there's people in my community who believe that Sikhs are an ethnic group and they should be recorded as such. I've probably got 1 minute left, so I'm going to be very brief. My personal view is that we don't need a new law that perpetuates a racialised view of society. we've got the necessary protections in the existing legal framework. And to improve those patients, we need to start off with education which starts at home. We've got to look at our commonalities. We've got to look at how we're bringing up our children, because ultimately the family is the testing ground for the real world.
Like you said, Walter.